Welcome to the Draw Shop's Get Genius podcast, where we talk to today's business influencers to pick their brain and pull out their genius. It's time to get genius.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to another Get Genius podcast episode. You know what I love is when I interview someone and there's just these very easy, simple, new concepts that you can walk away with, and we get it all done in 30 minutes. And that's with my guest today, Rich Allen. He's pretty awesome. I also love it, like most of my guests, who have a real heartfelt reason for why they do what they do. To me, that's the most important, because you know what drives them and you know how committed they are to their mission. And today we're talking with Rich Allen about small businesses, and his whole goal is to stop small businesses from failing. That is his mission, and it's his main focus. It's his single objective in everything that he does. Put an end to small business failure. I don't know the exact number, what the statistics are. I think it's 1 in 5. We talk about it on the show, of businesses that fail before and don't even make it to 5 years. Why is this happening? We're going to talk about why that's happening. Everything that he does is centered around this passion, which is so cool. And it started with his father's family-owned business. And he shares the story of his father just kind of going through that day to day, putting out the fires, hustling, to the point where there's not really any growth in the business, and he's still struggling. And there's a lot of people that you've either experienced that or you're going through it now, where you're just working your ass off, but where's the growth and where's the reward? And there's so many reasons to why that's not happening. So if you find yourself in this position, you're going to get a lot out of this episode. Rich has so much information, but it's very simplified, and he has this great metaphor that you're going to hear about on the show. Please visit his website that we talk about, because that's where you're going to get a visual for the metaphor that we talk about, and apply it. Just this one episode, what you hear, you can apply to your business and get some clarity about where things may be working, may not be working, where there's some kinks or some things that need to be tuned up, if you will. So take a listen to that. We'll talk about the radio show that he hosts, books that he has out, and all kinds of other good things that will help transform your business, and make sure that you are not part of the statistic on the negative side. Don't let your small business fail. If you have a small business, don't let any business fail. So many of us are in the startup phase. Some of us have successful businesses, but we have a couple startups on the side, like myself. So you want to get those off the ground and running, and he will tell you how. So please enjoy this interview. Hello, Rich, and welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here, Summer.
Well, I think that you're going to have some great advice for a lot of our listeners who have small businesses.
Well, that's the hope.
All right. I know your goal is to stop small businesses from failing. And so before we get into that and how we can do that, I'd like to know why it became so important to you.
I'll tell you, Summer, that this became important to me probably 10 years ago. It all started back when I was a young kid working for my dad. I come from a very large family. I've got 11 brothers and sisters, and my dad worked multiple jobs trying to just take care of the family to make ends meet. He finally decided to start his own business because he figured that was his best way to make it work. And while he was really good at what he did, he was good at his trade, he didn't have a clue how to run a business.
Yeah.
And as a result, it was a train wreck. It was a tragedy. And it just continued year after year after year of just heartache and struggle and failure and disappointment. And, I ran from that when I was a kid. I took my options to to go off to college, and I just got as far away as I could from my family because of the turmoil. And it was only after many years later when I saw my dad in his older years just continuing to struggle, and realizing that while I couldn't help him, I now knew some things, and I knew what he should be doing, but I didn't, I never had I guess at the time, the courage or the confidence to go back and help him do it. So that's now my passion. That's what I do. So I help small business owners avoid the frustrations and pitfalls that my dad endured.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that, because I know you probably know better than I do the percentage of small businesses, especially startups, that fail within their first or second year. I know that the number's pretty
incredible.
High. Yeah,
the number's high. I mean, it's only 1 of 5 ever make it to their 5-year anniversary.
Yeah, it's crazy. So why is this happening? What are some of the biggest reasons?
I do believe that and I say this a lot, that I think that most small business owners lack the knowledge on what to focus their effort in and what to spend their time doing. And as a result, because they don't know exactly what to do, all they do is the work that's right in front of them. So they deal with whatever the issue is of the day. And as a result, every day looks like the next, and next week looked like last week, and they never make any progress on the business itself. All they're doing is essentially putting out fires or solving issues that come up day after day.
Right. And
after a while, typical. Honestly, you run out of gas.
Yeah.
You run out of steam.
And it's hard, you can't really grow from a point of putting out fires, because
you can't.
You can't just hard. Be trying to stay afloat.
and you go home at night and you're just exhausted. And by the time you get there, the last thing you want to do is then to spend time on your business.
Exactly. So how do you do that though? Because the fires need to be put out. So how does somebody who feels that, daily running around, doesn't really have a lot of structure going on and can't even think about the next level, maybe thinks about it, maybe fantasizes about it, but can't really get there because they're so wrapped up in the day-to-day putting out the fires. How do you shift that?
Well, it started for me, Summer, with the idea of just trying to find a model, something that people could get their head around, that was relatively simple, so that their business wouldn't be viewed as too complicated or too complex. Because the problem is, most people look at a business and they say, wow, I don't even know where to start. Right? If I had the time, even if I took the time, I don't know what I would do first.
Right.
So, as I was running, as I had the opportunity to run a business, I was faced with the very same challenge. I had a business that wasn't functioning, and honestly, at the time, I was just scratching my head around, okay, what to work on first. And then it hit me that a business is a lot like a bicycle. And so over the years, I've been using a bike, just a regular street bike, as a metaphor for a business. And it's allowed me to be able to compartmentalize my thinking and prioritize my activities and help other business owners kind of think really logically about what needs to be fixed on my bike without trying to feel like I have to fix everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So what are some of the strategies that you've developed to help people do that and determine what is it that needs to be fixed?
Well, the first place that we start, or the first thing I suggest to people, is that we just first look at the business in general, and we ask ourselves, how does it stack up when we're thinking about a bike? And the reason I use a bike, Summer, is because we all know how to ride a bike, right? And we're all familiar with it. We know how it feels when you get on a bike that's really cool. It's well tuned up, and you can ride it and go really fast. We also know what it's like to ride one that's in disrepair, and how frustrating it is if it's out of alignment or it doesn't, that's not well oiled. So we get that feeling, and we know that about a bike. So we can translate that over to the feeling in a business, because we know what it feels like to wake up every morning and not feel good about your business. So I simply say, let's walk around the bike and let's ask the question, do you have the 8 fundamental areas of your business working well? And if not, then let's just prioritize which area we need to work on first. And so it becomes really simple, and it's just a discussion, but you have to understand what the bike parts mean relative to a business, right?
And so those parts are the 8 fundamental,
right?
You call them
the fundamental areas that any business owner has got to master or has got to have nailed down in their business.
And what are those areas?
So I'll start here. I'll take you on a quick lap around the bike because I think it might help, and
yes.
we can take a pause. But the first most important part are the handlebars, right? It's how we steer. And as a kid, we used to like to ride our bikes with our hands in the air because it was cool and we could. But as adults, it's not a smart thing to do when we're running our business. So we have to steer our business. And the way we steer a business is that we paint a picture of the vision, the future that we want for the business. So we have to articulate what we want the business to look like 5 or 10 years in the future. And we do that for our own benefit so we can get excited about that. But we also do it for the people that are on our team to get them excited about where the business is going so that they'll want to do it with us. So part of steering is building a vision and having a goal, a dream of what we want the business to look like. Step 1, right?
Right.
Okay. So the next step is we got to look at the frame of the business, because the frame is what holds everything together. And so the frame of a bike is, everything's got to connect to it. It's got to be sturdy and strong. Same thing in a business. And our frame represents all of our business documentation, all the things that we're required to have by law, all the things we need if we're going to have a partnership. It includes our organizational chart, and it includes our job responsibilities so that everybody on our team knows exactly what their job is relative to everybody else, so that there are clear and clean handoffs from one person to the next and nothing gets dropped. So everything in the structure has to be solid. That's step number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, makes sense?
Awesome. I'm loving this. Yes.
Okay. Then on our bike, there are 2 places where the rubber meets the road. It's on the front wheel and the back wheel. And that's how a bike operates. In our business, there are 2 places where the rubber meets the road. The front wheel of our business represents our ability to win new customers, right? To tell our story and to get people to say, yes, I want to do business with you. And then the back wheel of our business, is our ability to deliver on the promise that we made on the front. So delivering our service or product to them, right? So we have to know how we're going to do both. Here's the interesting part. Summer, this just is amazing to me. On a bike, both the front wheel and back wheel have to go at the same speed. Otherwise, I'm going to crash.
Yeah.
Right? In business, it happens to be the same thing. If my front wheel goes faster than my back wheel, then I'm going to make a promise that I don't deliver. And many people are going to say, they sold me this, but they delivered something less. Right? And they're going to go on social media and they're going to talk poorly about me. And it's going to be, they have more power than I do to get the message out. If my back wheel's going faster than my front wheel, then I'm going to burn my cash. I'm going to burn my resources up because I'm not bringing in enough new business or enough customers to feed the engine that I've created. So in a business, they've got to go at the same speed as well, right? So we have to know how to do that.
Yep.
So we got to ask ourselves, okay, how does our front wheel work? How does our back wheel work? And then the way we control the speed of our front and back wheel on a bike is by using the brakes. Well, the brakes on a business are our financial controls. And so financial controls, that it's not how much money is in our checkbook, it's our cash flow statement, our income statement, our balance sheet, our budget,
Right.
the documents that tell us whether we need to slow down or speed up on the spending on either our front wheel or our back wheel of our business, right?
Right.
So we've got to have those, and we've got to look at them. I will tell you this, most business owners don't look at their financial statements in a timely manner. Most of them don't get them for 2 or 3 months, if even that soon, after the month ends.
Yeah.
So they
So
can't,
true.
how can they use it to know what to do with their spending? So it becomes a bit of a problem. It's like riding a bike without any brakes.
Right.
A bit of a challenge. Right? And then of course, one of the most important parts on a bike is the seat. Right? You've probably been on a bike where the seat isn't positioned right.
Yep.
I certainly know I have, and whenever I've done that, it's never fun. It hurts. Well, the people that sit on our seat are our people, our team. So we have to position our seat so that it's a comfortable ride, so that our team will put maximum power to our pedals. So the seat position has to do with our compensation program, our incentive plans, our communication programs, our reward systems, how we engage people in the business. Those kinds of things have to be structured in a way that it makes someone want to get on and comfortably ride and pedal hard.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I love that. Yes.
So, the only other thing, there's 2 other pieces to it. One is typically on a bike, there's a monitor, indicators that tell you how fast you're going, what your cadence is, what your pace is, those kinds of things. And in our business, I call those our key performance indicators. Those are the forward-looking indicators that help us predict how the business is going. I use the notion of a dashboard. Many business owners don't have those indicators, so they have no way to predict how well their business is going to do in 2 or 3 months in the future.
Right.
But we have to have that if we're going to go fast on our bike.
Right.
So how's that? Does that sound like a business to you?
That's awesome. I love that. And
Isn't that crazy?
It also makes it, less when you break it up into pieces like that, and you really look at those. You can see, where do we need to fix? Oh, maybe you have a clear vision, or maybe you're all set in your structure and you've got a great team, but you're not operating the brakes
right
in the right manner, or maybe the team isn't feeling incentivized and not wanting to work that hard. I love looking at it this way. This is awesome.
Yeah, so
and I'm a bike person too, so.
Yeah, see, I love riding bikes, and I love it when my bike really works well.
Right.
I don't like it, and it's not a fun ride when it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, but I also have to have gears on my bike to help me get up and down the hills, and just like that in business, we have to be able to shift our business so that when the economy's tough, we can gear down so we don't have to work so hard, but still be profitable. But when the economy, like for us right now in Texas, the economy is booming, and so we have to be able to gear up and be able to just take advantage of it and go really fast.
Right. What is the point that businesses usually come to you, or does it vary?
I would say most businesses, their struggle primarily is with the front wheel of the bike.
Yeah.
Most business owners are in the business because they were like my dad. They know the trade, so they're a good technician. They know what to do. But most of them don't come into the business world or into a small business out of a sales mindset.
Right.
And so they come and they think, if I'm just good at delivering this business, if I'm a good IT person, or if I'm a good engineer, if I'm good at baking pies, that people will obviously show up and ask for my pies. But in fact, we're all salespeople. And so we have to know how to communicate with our prospects and customers in a way that makes them come over and do business with us. So I spend a lot of time on the front wheel with many of my business owners.
That's awesome. And I would imagine, so that's where a lot of the marketing comes in.
It does.
Yeah. And I'm seeing, I'm just having the visual, and I know you have a visual on your website as well, which I love the name, by the way, Tour to Profit. It's perfect.
Thank you.
But you have this great visual on your site where you can kind of highlight, you highlight over those areas of the bike, and it, refreshes, here are the pedals, here's the handlebars, the seat, the water bottle, and it's awesome. So it really helps, just in a quick, if you have that, check in with yourself and your business on a monthly basis, or as often as you can, and just think about the bike. Okay, let me just you can kind of do like a scan basically,
right,
and see where you might be lacking.
You're right. The way that I kind of look at this is if you've decided you're gonna paint your house or paint all the rooms in your house, you're not just going to start painting all the rooms. You're going to ask yourself, what room should I paint first?
Right.
Well, on your business, it's like, okay, my business isn't working. I can't fix everything. Which part should I fix first? And so this is a way just to be able to compartmentalize and focus. Because if you can do that, and you can, let's say that you don't have good, strong marketing messages, okay, then you can go to that component of the bike, and I can show you how to do that, or you can think through how to do that, and you can make that a little bit better before you go to something else.
Right. What are some recent results that you have seen, or some of the biggest transformations with businesses?
I've had many that have been massive transformations. Probably the one that strikes me specifically is I remember having several years ago, this is a client that's been with me probably 5 years, husband and wife team. When they came and they first sat down with me, the husband couldn't have a conversation with me because his phone went off like every 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Because everybody called him, and he was a residential plumber, and he was the guy that took the orders. He's the guy that scheduled his crew, and he's the guy that also went out on the job. And so we had to work our way out of making him the center point of the business to now, fast forward 5 years later, he's got 18 trucks.
Wow.
He's got 18 teams of people. He doesn't carry a phone, right? He has a team of people in the office. They have a team of people who take the calls. They have another team that dispatches. And all he does, his job, he and his wife's job now, are just to make sure that they hire the best people to be on their team. That's their primary role in the business.
So earlier when I was asking about putting out those fires, I mean, that's key right there, is having trusted people, because we can't do it all. And I think when you're first starting a business, entrepreneurs, they do wear many, many hats, and they are doing it all.
Right.
And it's so hard to, one, let go of the control of all of those hats and those duties, because you think only you know how to do it. And then the other is, can I afford to hire somebody and actually, delegate all of this to them? So what advice do you have around that?
Yeah, I would say this, in every case, here's the thing. If the business owner would take the time that they would free up by hiring somebody to work in their business with them, if they would take that available time and put that towards generating more business, they always can afford to hire somebody.
Yeah.
So the model I typically use is once you can afford to pay for half of someone's salary, it's time to make the hire and take the leap of faith, if you will, that once I hire that person, if I put my efforts towards generating more business, I'll be able to cover the other half of that salary and more by the new business I'll generate.
Right.
right? So if you wait till you can afford the whole thing, you'll never get there.
Yeah.
Because by the time you're there, you're exhausted.
So true. What advice do you have for hiring?
Well, hiring is such a critical piece of this that, in fact, I have a totally separate kind of activity that I do. That it's a different business that I run that's called Fit First Hiring. And here's my one piece of advice that I would give every business owner: don't focus on someone's skill. Don't focus on the skills or even their work experience. Focus on the behaviors that you want on your team.
Yeah.
So work on fit first, because we could teach anybody anything. There may be some certifications we have to get through a technical institute or something like that. But for most positions, we can teach the skill. We will never teach the behaviors. And what I find is most people hire for skill, and I've never yet seen somebody get let go or asked to leave because of skill. It was always because they didn't have the right behaviors. They didn't show up on time. They weren't ethical. They took shortcuts. They weren't disciplined or thorough enough. Those kinds of behaviors. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That makes so much sense. And so I'm big on the
first.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I absolutely believe that, because you're supposed to be growing and learning all of these skills and new skills along the journey anyways, but first and foremost, you have to be fit enough to handle that.
Right. I want somebody that fits into my culture.
Right.
Because if they don't fit in the culture, I don't care how skilled they are, they're not going to be comfortable. They're not going to stay. Right.
Exactly. So what are some of the things that you go through with a client when they come to you? I know that you probably go through the bike and ask, and kind of look really closely at these various areas, but what are they bringing to you in order to find, because I think that some people don't even know which part of the bike is from. They're just like, it's just not working.
You're absolutely right. And here's, Summer, you asked the best question: is what do I do first, or what do I ask them first? And here's the deal: I have a whiteboard in my office, and I put a line down the middle, and on the left side I say, describe your business today. Tell me what it looks like today. How many people, what customers you serve, what's going right, what's not going right, and everybody can fill up the left side of the board.
Yeah.
And then I go to the right side and I say, what do you want this business to look like in 10 years? And I get a blank stare in most cases.
Yeah.
Because most people are so consumed with what they're dealing with on the left side of the board, what it looks like today, they haven't even given a thought to what this thing could look like.
Right.
So the first place we start is, because look, I don't care what somebody wants their business to look like. It's not up to me. It's their dream. It's their vision. It's what they want this thing to look like. So, but many people haven't even taken a pause to even articulate what that is. So that's where we start. And then when we do that, then it's pretty easy to say, okay, if this is what you want and here's where you're at, we can probably come up with 3 or 4 things in the middle that we'd say, here's our gap. And now, which is the one we work on first?
Right.
And that's all we want, right? I don't want to put together a 1-year plan or even a 6-month plan. I want to find the first 2 or 3 things, because as soon as we start to work on the 2 or 3 things, other things will pop up that become really important.
Yeah. And I would imagine too, just, fixing the one thing makes a change. And it's just, those are the things that move it's the little things. I love this approach because it can be so overwhelming to look at everything that's not working. So overwhelming to the point where it paralyzes you.
That's why people quit.
Yeah.
And that's what's unfortunate. That's what my dad was so consumed with everything that didn't work to the point that he became an alcoholic. He lost his marriage. He lost his family, became estranged, and he ended up. My dad passed away, never having the experience of having his dream come true.
Wow.
Because he was so consumed in the minutia of everything.
Yeah. So that's what really drives this passion for you.
It does. Every day. Everybody I meet with, I see my dad in so many people.
Yeah.
And that's good and bad, right? People think, sometimes they think I'm an emotional wreck, but other times I'm so fired up about it because it's like, okay, I got a chance to make an impact on this one.
Right. Now, what are the various ways that people can work with you, work with your company?
Well, I do, there are a couple different things, right? I do have people who work with me fairly intently. We do strategy sessions on a monthly basis. They're part of a mastermind group that I have together, right? So there's a pretty intense program that's focused around that. I have other people who simply just use our services to help them identify and select good team members, right? That's another way to me, that's a great place to start, because if you can get that right, it frees up a lot of opportunities for you to do other things in your business.
Right.
And then the other part of what we do is we do a lot of I do a lot of speaking at, whether it's an industry group or a franchise group or company events, to kind of just to inspire and motivate people to look at their business differently. Those are probably the three big ways.
Awesome. So if people want more information, we can send them to tourtoprofit.com, and they can find Fit First Hiring there as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's Tour to Profit.
Yeah. Tour to Profit, like Tour de France, as you picked up on it, right? This is all about a multi-stage race to grow your business. So it's called the Tour to Profit. It's the title of my first book. It's I don't know. I got lucky; it was available, and I've had fun with the name.
Well, I just want to say what's so great is, when you work with somebody, you like to see how they operate with their business. What does their website look like? What's their branding like? And I will say, listeners, when you check out the site, you'll see what I mean. But your branding is so on point. I love it. It's a beautiful, welcoming site, and it's very easy to navigate. I love it. I love the whole concept of it, because it's very tangible. It's something that you can easily wrap your brain around, because, business owners, which is a lot of our listeners, it's overwhelming. There's so many things to think about. And this really helps you compartmentalize everything and make it actually very actionable. And I love it when you can just do one thing and then it starts to ripple through everything else in your business. And then it makes the next thing that you have to tackle that much easier, especially when you're seeing results in one area.
Yeah, I'm thank you for that. And I hope that's true for your listeners. And the one thing I'll tell you, that now, Summer, you will never look at a bike the same again.
I won't.
That's the downside.
That's okay. I love it. This has been so awesome. I'd love to let our listeners hear about some. I know that you're an author. I know that you're a speaker. You have a radio show. Can you tell us a little bit about other places that we can find your work and where we can find you on your show?
Right. You can. I do a weekly radio show. It's an internet radio show called KVGI Radio. So if you just Google KVGI Radio, I'm on every Tuesday morning at 9:00, and then throughout the week they replay every our show. And you can find my new book, The Ultimate Business Tune-Up. You can find it both on my website, and obviously you can find it at any of the major retailers. Those are the best places. You'll probably find my I do have a YouTube channel and Facebook page, but if you type in my name, if you type in Rich Allen, you'll find me.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rich. This has been so great. I think it offers a really good new perspective for many of us on our businesses. So I appreciate it so much and appreciate what you do and for being on the show.
Well, thank you, Summer. It's been a pleasure to be with you. You're awesome at this.
Thank you. So are you. All right.
Thank you for listening to today's Get Genius. You can learn more about The Draw Shop at www.thedrawshop.com on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Your home for kick-butt custom whiteboard marketing videos. Your ideas come to life. Thanks for listening. Please share, comment, and make any suggestions for future Genius guests.